So Thanasi, he had the blacked out rackets when he was here the previous, not last year, I think the year before, when he made the semi-final and then won the tournament here in Adelaide. There was 2 tournaments back to back. So were you stringing his rackets that week? What was happening, and what racket was he actually using with that blacked out?
Yeah,
what racket actually was it?
Yeah, so I wasn't stringing for him. I wasn't here. But in that off-season, we were doing a lot of racket testing with him, using our Hawkeye court. He spent a lot of time with us. So I think he was using an Aero prior. So we tested like maybe 10 to 15 different rackets, different brands, different string patterns, different lengths, different weights, just trying to find something to help him. I think his biggest one was, it was mainly around injury prevention, and then something where, okay, we can help keep his body healthy, but he's not going to lose power, spin, all that kind of stuff. So through all that testing, he ended up with the Yonex E-Zone. And obviously...
Which model?
It was the 2020. So the all blue one, I think it's the one that you used. So that's the model that at the time was out. That was the off-the-shelf one. So basically we just used the off-the-shelf one. His one's extended, performed the best. Then we had a couple of weeks where he's playing matches, practice sets with people, and just like switching out that racket with his racket and different rackets and all that kind of stuff. And then I think it was like maybe a week and a half before the tournament, he was like, all right, let's go. I'm going to commit to this racket. So then he's obviously done what he needed to do to get those rackets to us. We've then customized them, and then he's come here and I guess played some of the best tennis of his life. We can't say that the racket's completely done that for him.
Of course.
But from some of the stats we've seen, his unforced errors reduced, certain things changed over a longer course of time across a lot of matches versus his older racket. So obviously that contributes to something. But yeah.
Definitely a factor, for sure. So he had the racket blacked out. Why?
I'm assuming with players like that, there's obviously things with contracts. So I'm not involved in any of that stuff. We just help with the racket. But some players may black out rackets because it's a feel thing. They might prefer the feel of a black racket. Some players say it feels different than when it's painted.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm not. What colour's Grigor's racket at the moment?
It's the black.
It's black.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pro stuff.
Yeah.
So for him, it might feel different. I'm not 100% sure. I know Quarter plays with a black racket. I think now he's using a green racket, but he's played most of last year with a black racket. It could be for the look and feel of a black racket.
It does look pretty boss though. Like just that blacked out racket.
I think people just like the look of a black glossy racket.
Yeah,
it's just clean.
It is slick.
Yeah, there's no colour in your eyes when you're swinging the racket. It's just easy to use and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like that's probably part of it. Then the other part is contract stuff. So whether the players got a sponsorship with them or not. So some players will go, well, I'm getting these rackets. Like there's players on tour maybe buying rackets as an example. They're going, I'm not going to give that advertising away where people can see that I'm using, say, I don't know, an Aero or
without an actual contract.
Yeah. So they'll take them somewhere and get them blacked out, or you look at the year
and wait for someone to come to them.
Yeah, or they might approach them going, hey, I'm actually using your racket. I really like your racket. I've just got them blacked out at the moment. Can we do something? Stuff like that happens. But you look at the year that Baghdadis melted all those sticks. They're all like custom painted blue with his name on them. They weren't actually branded. So he just did something different. They weren't blacked out. He just painted them blue.
Yeah, okay. Because what was he actually using?
Not 100% sure.
That video is iconic, by the way.
Yeah, I think he was tossing between, I think he was using Technifiber at one stage, then he was with Fisher, and I think, what was it, Fisher, maybe Pacific, one of those three brands.
Yeah.
So it might have been one of those rackets.
Do you remember that video?
Yeah.
I think everyone remembers that video, especially when he's melting the ones that are still in the plastic.
Was it 6 or 5?
I have no idea, but it was a few.
Yeah, I think it was at least 5.
Whoever painted those rackets would have been going cha-ching.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever done that many at one time.
Yeah,
as a professional.
But yeah, so that's why players will use different coloured rackets, or they just don't want people to either know what they're using, or they don't have a deal, or or they're waiting for something from the brand or whatever it is.
Yeah, interesting what goes into all of it.
Yeah, or some players they might not want to sign with someone straight away and get used to a racket. so they don't want to commit to anything. So they'll have a couple of black rackets, or like when Roger was changing his racket, it was blacked out. Who knows what he was doing? Maybe he had different versions of that racket in his bag. Maybe he had, different lengths, different whatever it is. If it's black all the time, people don't see anything different. So they might be hiding something. Like you don't know what they're testing.
Whole nother world.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy with rackets.
100%.